statement. I want to discuss the history of anti-black terrorism in the United States. Part 1. This is going to be a long series. Well, basically, I'm taking it back to 81. Then I'm going to get to the subject matter.
CIA don't make the bus, but help it cross the border. They organize the dealers, customers, conscious need to throw from off my ghetto streets to overthrow the Sandinistas. I'm young, I'm black, and I'm pouring out dollars knocking at my door. Couple niggas rock with cats and bring them 8 and I keep 4. I'm getting this money, I'm balling, I'm offering this shit to bloods and crips. Locking down the ghetto strips, sex and chicks, pushing whips. Free bases getting thick, I'm cooking this down to straight the bricks. Prophecy, I'm $1,000,006, never knew how thick this shit could get. Now the gangs are banging, claiming sex, drug possession. We need some better weapons, counter AK-47s, Uzis, SK-11s, intertext, homicide. I'm just a ghetto youth, caught up in the genocide. I'm just a young boy, born down in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooler with my fellas, sexing all the cute chicks, trying to find a big fun, looking for some trouble from anyone who give me some. I'm just a young boy, born down in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooler with my fellas, watching all the coca flip, trying to cop a hot ride. I'm just a ghetto youth, victim of a genocide. A lot of innocent lives are lost, black community paid the cost. All the drugs and guns we bought, finance CIA dirty walls. I'm just a young boy, born down in the ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooling with my fellas. Now I'm sitting in 6x10, got life with no parole, drank life that stole my soul, and they got all the blame. I'm talking tons of crack, flying across the border black. I ain't had no part in that, where my planes and vessels at. I'm talking a dog alliance, CIA, drug smugglers, contras, bad boys who move in silence. It's a different kind of monster. Ain't none of these crackers locked for the rest of their life in jail, for the innocent folk they shot, or the guns and drugs they sell. Now the government's war on drugs, making it seem like I'm the reason. Coca comes from overseas, and most Americans do believe them. Hit me with a CCE, continue crime enterprise. I'm just a ghetto youth, caught up in the genocide. I'm just a young boy, born out in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooling with my fellas, sexing all the cute chicks, trying to find a big fun, looking for some trouble from anyone who give me some. I'm just a young boy, born out in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooling with my fellas, watching all the coca flip, trying to cop a hot ride. I'm just a ghetto youth, victim of a genocide. If a nigga don't eat, nigga don't starve, nigga don't got no job, play high school ball, hope dreams, but I really can't breathe, start smoking weed, gotta escape all the shit I need, try to make it to the NBA, but a nigga just blew out both his knees. I'm lonely in these streets, I'm crying on these beats, but you know I gotta suck that up, cause don't nobody give a fuck. Who better to use than me to move the conscious coke? I'm young, I'm black, and I'm poor, and now my spirit's broke. Youth violence escalates, black poverty values drop, black leaders hesitate to reach out to my block. All of us saw her home for which she paid like 90 G's. Gangbangers clapping close, so the bank said it ain't worth 33. Gentrification's making somebody rich, but I know they leave. Incarceration, prison, population size increase. The biggest business in the country now is giving me time. I'm just a ghetto youth, caught up in this genocide. I'm just a young boy, born out in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooling with my fellas, sexing all the cute chicks, trying to find a big fun, looking for some trouble from anyone who give me some. I'm just a young boy, born out in this ghetto, hanging out on corners, cooling with my fellas, watching all the coca flip, trying to cop a hot ride. I'm just a ghetto youth, victim of a genocide.
Peace. This is the Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Now, I'm going to go over the history of anti-black terrorism in the United States. It's no secret, but it's so many cases of anti-black terrorism in the United States. I had to do a series. I'm going to start with up-to-date and anti-black terrorism. Now, I'm going to start with June 17th, 2015 in Charleston, South Carolina. See, on June 17th, 2015, a mass murder occurred in which 9 black parishioners were murdered during a Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Among those who were killed was the senior pastor and state senator Clemente C. Pinckney. Dylan Roof walked into the church as if he wanted to fellowship with them, and as they bowed their heads and prayed, he prayed on them, and he opened fire, murdering 9 of them. Now, I have a problem with some of our mentalities as a people. We think we could save and salvage who our Creator says can't be salvaged. We think that we can do the impossible. And when you know the history of a people, you should go accordingly. The way he looked when he came to that church should have been a sign of what he was up to. But some of our people believe in this spook God that loves everybody. So they have that mentality that they should love everybody. And they invited that wicked demon into their church. And some people paid for it with their lives. Unlike, the Nation of Islam, who has a weapon search, he could have never gotten that off in Muhammad's mosque, no matter what number of Muhammad's mosque. He could have never gotten that off because they do a weapon search. He would have started something in there, it would have went bad for him. But these churches, they believe in this spook God, and they allow people into their churches, and they shoot their churches up. They didn't learn from Dr. Martin Luther King's mother when she was assassinated while she played a piano. Somebody walked up in the church and assassinated her. Now, I'm going to go all the way up to this year, May 14th, 2022. 10 people were gunned down at a Buffalo, New York supermarket in a horrific mass shooting. The gunman, Peyton Grindon, opened fire at random brothers and sisters, some of them elders, on the May attack, in which he recorded it and broadcasted it on Twitch. And he had the word nigger killer written on his weapon. He purchased the weapon in Pennsylvania, drove it across state lines to Buffalo, New York. And when he got to Buffalo, New York, he went to the Tops supermarket and just opened fire on Black people, most of them elderlies, killing everybody he shot. When he almost accidentally shot a white person, he actually apologized to that white person. But America has a history of anti-Black terrorism. State and government sponsored anti-Black terrorism for the simple fact that we were making tractions or getting certain rights like the right to vote, or we built cities up, or they made any excuse to attack our people. Now, I'm going to start with Colfax, Louisiana. In 1873, this was a direct attack on Black men getting the right to vote. During Reconstruction, after white people contested the results of the 1872 election, Black men and a mostly Black state militia holed up around the parish courthouse to protect the local government. On Easter Sunday, April 13th, 1873, they were surrounded by a white mob that set the courthouse on fire and shot anyone who emerged. It is estimated that 62 to 81 Black people were killed. That's just one example of anti-Black terrorism. Now, going to Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898, this incident is better described as a successful coup d'etat in so-called white supremacists overthrew the results of a local election. In the process, they killed dozens of Black people, and burned down much of Wilmington's prosperous Black neighborhood. They say Black families ran into the woods to hide while others were forced to leave by train, never to return. See, some of these stories add a little fiction to it, because even with the slavery narrative, they act as if we just laid down, where there were many hundreds of revolts. That's why they couldn't maintain slavery, and everybody they brought here probably was slaves, but it was a nation full of us already here, and all of us was not slaves. As a lot of us would have died before we became slaves. So that slave narrative overall was magnified, and some of its falsehood. Now, in Washington, D.C., in 1919, propaganda machines, including the Washington Post, and police whipped up hysteria over an alleged fiend Negro attacking white women. Things boiled over on July 19th, 1919, with white posses hunting Black men. The violence lasted for nearly a week before it extinguished by a long summer rain. This is one of the few race riots in which more white people may have been killed by Blacks defending themselves. Many were soldiers returning home from World War I than Blacks murdered by white mobs. See, this incident, they say more white people died because we defended ourselves. And in Elaine, Arkansas in 1919, there were dozens of racist attacks and massacres across the country in the red summer of 1919. One of the worst was in Elaine, Arkansas, in which at least 200 Black farmers and their families were slaughtered. The farmers had recently unionized and were planning to bypass the unfair sharecropping systems. Now, all because farmers wanted to be treated fairly and wanted to sell their merchandise, their harvest, for what it was really worth. White farmers and white merchants got upset, and rather than deal with you with equality and fair, they'd rather murder you than to deal with you with equality. Now, what is this name? Ocoee, Florida, in 1920. It was a presidential election during which white women voted for the first time, but for Black Americans, it was more of the same. Jim Crow laws and disenfranchisement. In Ocoee, Florida, when local Black men and women attempted to vote, white mobs responded by burning a Black church and killing at least 6 people. Some say the death toll was more than 60. Some survivors claim bodies were dumped in a mass grave, as in Tulsa. Ocoee officials have made no attempt to investigate the claim. City officials apologized and installed a memorial plaque in 2020. It was the worst instance of election day violence in American history. Now, that's what they do when we're murdered. They'll put a statue up. They'll do some type of memorial as if we need them for us to remember what was done. And sometimes they do it to keep the ignorant and the weak among us in check. Yet the history of anti-Black terrorism should be taught. This is what some would say is critical race theory. Now, the reason why they don't want critical race theory taught, or what they call critical race theory, which is really America's violent past, their history. Peace to Empress Goddess. Thank you for joining me. The reason why they don't want us to teach America's violent history is because it's critical on them and critical of them. It's not like they feel ashamed. It's just like they don't want people to know who they are, as if we don't know already, because there's several examples of who they are. And before I go any further, I'm going to show you who these people are right now.
A rough arrest caught on camera, and tonight 2 very different versions being told about what happened when deputies confronted a man, dragged him to the ground, put a gun to his head, punched him, and then slammed his face into the sidewalk. And tonight, the sheriff is reacting to that video, placing the blame on the man arrested. But witnesses say the deputies were the aggressors. Our Jasmine Veal is working this story from Inglewood.
The department is investigating the use of force, but we still don't know what prompted deputies to even show up here. This is outside their jurisdiction. Activists are demanding justice for the man who was arrested and all charges be dropped. Cell phone video shows 2 LA County Sheriff deputies tackling 24-year-old Blake Anderson Sunday night. The arrest happening in front of a hookah lounge on West Century Boulevard in Inglewood.
They rushed Mr. Anderson. They shoved him into a window, and then they did things like choke him. They punched him.
Senate Devermont is a local activist and is helping the family find a lawyer. He says Anderson was working as a security guard that night. Security cam video shows the deputies pulling into the parking lot, walking over to Anderson, and then beginning the struggle. The LA County Sheriff's Department says Anderson is not a security guard, but a felon who was in possession of a loaded gun. Records show a few years ago he was convicted of carrying a concealed weapon and resisting arrest.
He is a convicted felon. He was armed, and there was a struggle, and there's a use of force is being properly investigated as a Category 3 use of force.
The department providing these pictures of a fanny pack and a gun recovered there at the scene. In the video, Anderson appears to reach for a bag. That's when one of the deputies pulls out his gun, pointing it at Anderson's head. Seconds later, you can see the deputy holding that fanny pack.
The gun is in a contained bag. There is no possible way that the police could be alleging this gun was any threat as an employee for security. Blake Anderson has a firearm. We believe that this is totally compliant of all security regulations and laws.
The sheriff's department says Anderson was taken to a hospital for some minor injuries. Devermont says Anderson had an eye injury from a previous assault a few weeks ago. But because of this beating, doctors now have to remove it.
If you look, Mr. Anderson is trying to keep his head up in the video. This is because he knows that he has surgery. He knows he has an eye problem. He's trying to tell the officers, please be mindful of my eye.
Anderson was arrested on charges of being a felon in possession of a loaded gun with ammunition and assault on a peace officer with a firearm. Here in Inglewood, Jasmine Veal, CBS 2 News.
Now, these two deputies were out of their jurisdiction, meaning they wasn't supposed to be there in the official capacity as officers. They don't patrol that area. So automatically they're wrong. And Sheriff Villanueva, Alex Villanueva, runs a gang, an anti-Black gang in LA. This probably was an initiation for them to get in that gang because that's what they have to do. Severely beat somebody or murder someone to get in their gang. They even have matching tattoos, their gang members, in LA County Sheriff. That's ran by Alex Villanueva. Now, and when they attack people, when they murder people, they have to be one of us. And there's a lot of Hispanics in this gang. That's why I tell people that alliance we so-called have with people they call brown people, and they're not brown, but that's what they call them. These people are not with us. You heard what happened with the council people over there talking greasy about us in LA, but they want us to believe that they have an alliance with us, but they do the backhanded, underhanded things, and they conspire with our enemy against us. So we don't have any friends, none. We don't have friends. We are our only friends that we have. Now, I'm going to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. On May 31st, 1921, a white mob descended on Black Wall Street, a prosperous Black neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Over the next 2 days, they murdered more than 300 people, burned down 40 city blocks, and left 10,000 Black residents homeless. A mass grave that may contain the remains of the victims has been recently discovered. Survivors have been petitioning for reparations for decades, and as recently as last week, I don't know what's going to become of that, but the brother Tariq Nasheed is doing a demonstration down in Washington, D.C. on May 5th, asking for or demanding reparations from this government. Some of our people don't think we should be asking for reparations. I beg to differ, because they have laws that protect other people who just got here. And people telling us we need to do all kinds of paperwork, but nobody's doing paperwork for the Ukrainians. Nobody's doing paperwork for the Asians. Nobody's doing paperwork for none of these people who come here and receive money and receive all types of aid that our taxpayers' dollars go to. They didn't ask us. They just take our money that we pay taxes with and give it to these other people. Now, when we're murdered and wholesale on the streets by the police or regular white folks, there's no law written to protect us. But everybody else come to the United States and they automatically get laws passed to protect them from us when they're the ones who's murdering us, but they get laws to protect them. Now, when the massacre happened in Buffalo, the only thing Chuck Schumer can think of doing, making the gun law stiffer or harder for us to purchase firearms when we're the victims. Now, don't mistake me for thinking that criminals should have guns. Yet, if you keep your nose clean and you're not a criminal, you're not a felon, and you want to apply to purchase a firearm, you should be allowed to. You should not be hindered from getting a firearm. You should be allowed to have a firearm. Yet, they want to make us, they want to hinder us from getting a firearm. When people go to Pennsylvania and they bring firearms to other states and open fire on our people, they don't go to the legislation and say we have to do something to protect Black people here in the wilderness of North America. They just pass stiffer laws that's going to affect us. Now, I'm going to go to Rosewood, Florida, 1923. Rosewood was a successful Black town in the Florida pine woods until it was burned to the ground by a white mob seeking revenge for the supposed assault of a white woman. They always say assault of a white woman. At least 6 people were killed, perhaps more. Survivors waded through swamps in their nightclothes to escape. A 1994 law allowed descendants of Rosewood residents to attend state colleges tuition free, the first example of a legislative body of the United States giving reparations to Black people. That's not repairing the damage. Peace to Just J TV. Thank you for coming. That's not giving or repairing the damage that you've done by giving us your indoctrination. Now, going to college is a good thing, but giving people college tuition free is not reparations, because a lot of us can prosper without these college degrees. And giving us a degree or a piece of paper to hang on our wall, which is sometimes good. I'm not going to diss college, but that's not anything near reparations or beginning to repair the damage that was done to our people. And we get a lot of Negroes that comes out here and they pander and they set up roadblocks and they do the bidding of our enemies by using their talking points like college tuition free is an example of reparations, and it's not. Now, in Charleston, South Carolina, I already did that one. The mass shooting that occurred when 9 parishioners were murdered. We need to be mindful that we're the only people that we really can trust, and we need to hold our people accountable when they sell us out. We're talking about a whole nation of people. And the rights that we should enforce are rights that no one can take from us and no one can give us. There's self-preservation and the right to protect ourselves. Nobody can give you that right. That's a natural right. And they want to make it so others can aggress us. And if we fight back, the hate crime is filed against us. You can't even argue with an Asian person. You argue with them, the hate crime get filed on you. Now, when these Asian men were beating black women in the beauty salons and in the beauty supply stores, nobody was talking about legislation to have a law passed for us to protect us. And these politicians come around. Peace to the brother Blue. Peace, brother. These politicians come around to us, wanting us to give them an office to govern over us. And they never tell us what they're going to do for us. And we don't even demand for them to do anything for us. We just give them what they want. And we have to become our own party. We shouldn't give, if you're into voting, I'm not into voting, but if you're into voting, vote your interest and pool your resources and let them know that your vote is not going to come cheap. You're not just going to vote for somebody who make promises that they're not going to keep. They come to us asking us for our vote and give us nothing in return, but every other people get something for their vote. We have to stop being the suckers in the equation. We're always the suckers in the equation when it comes to America's politics, which in all actuality, I don't think we should concern ourselves with, because from its inception, they haven't done anything for us. All they do is they come in and they rally against us. The jackass or the elephant, Democrats or Republicans, they are two wings on the same bird flying in the same direction. They may disagree out in public. They may have political disagreements, but it's one thing that they agree with. They agree when it comes to us, our positions. They want to keep us in the position we're in and maintain their position at all costs. They have think tanks that's up all night trying to determine how to keep us in the condition that we're in. And we don't have time for Negroes out here being their mouthpieces and using their talking points and their narratives. We don't have time for them. We have to get on code and stay on code like they do. Now it's going to be a series. There's no way with all these mass murders that happened, there's no way I would be able to do it in one evening. I'm going to read off all of the black massacres that happened. And this is just a fraction. New York, 1863. Detroit, 1943. Chicago, 1919. Washington, 1919. Wilmington, 1898. Atlanta, 1906. Springfield, 1908. Charleston, 2015. Memphis, 1866. Elaine, 1919. Clinton, 1875. Eufaula, 1874. Camilla, 1868. Rosewood, 1923, St. Bernard Parish, 1868, New Orleans, 1866, Slocum, 1910, Colfax, 1873, Vicksburg, 1874, Tulsa, 1921, East St. Louis, 1917, Thieves Clarks, 1907. And that's just a fraction of massacres that occurred against our people in the United States. That's not even counting the police violence against us. Stay tuned. I will be doing a part 2 sometime during the week, but on Sunday, I'm going to do what are gender pronouns, because today, this time, people want you to call them what they feel like they are. If a man wake up this morning and feel like he's a woman, he wants you to call him a woman. If a woman wake up and feel like she's a man, she wants you to call her a man. No matter what you put on, and this goes for both female and male. No matter what you put on or you take off, a man could never be a woman. Women go through too much for a man trying to be a woman. A man cannot bring a child in this world. He can only assist through the agent of a woman and vice versa. But as far as a man carrying the baby, pushing it out, man doesn't have a cervix, okay? He can't carry the baby. Man doesn't go through the menstrual cycles and the cramps. I wish they could when they try to be a woman. I wish they could go through those cramps in that cycle, just to show them that they can never be. They should feel that discomfort that these women feel. The menopause, the hot flashes, and all that the women go through. A man doesn't go through that, but he wants to come out here and decide that he wants people to call him a woman. And it's the same thing with women. No matter what you put on or take off, you cannot be a man. Impossible. And the troubles that men have, if you want to be a man, I wish those troubles can happen with you. It show you that you can't be a man and a man cannot be a woman. That's what I'm going to be doing on Sunday. Hopefully I'll get a nice audience for that conversation and have a good panel for it. This is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. I'm going to leave with this selection by the homie from Trenton, Wise Intelligent.
Fuck Steve Harvey, fuck Paula D, fuck Charles Barkley, fuck the mainstream. How the fuck you saying sorry to the white bitch team, but the great and don't apologize to these black queens? Fuck Iggy Azalea, fuck rap magazines, fuck white folk money, fuck Jimmy I.G. Niggas got diabetes, fuck cake, fuck cream, fuck the edited version, fuck keeping shit clean. Fuck Dan Wilson and fuck how that sound. That fuck didn't give a fuck about Mike Brown. Fuck grand juries, fuck sundown town, fuck feeling sympathetic when a cop shot down. Fuck concentrated poverty, apartheid schools, fuck CNN, fuck corporate news. Fuck diamond and fuck cracker ass country, fuck a piece of white people, fuck elephants in the room. Giuliani, Bill O'Reilly, Fox News, Drew Pataki, Chris Christie, Sarah Palin, Michelle Farley, Rush Limbaugh. Fuck trying to be the first black anything here. Fuck nigga, fuck men, fuck you and your queer peers. Fuck a tea party full of salty ass crackers. Fuck anything spoken from a dumbed down rapper. Fuck niggas who think money make a dumb nigga snarl. Fuck crackers who hit a left the back with assholes talk. Fuck over for being scared of what whites might think. If she open school here to teach young black queens, black queens, and fuck Drake for giving 35 million to a school full of overfed rich white children. Fuck integration, fuck the leading blacks. Fuck capitulation, sincerely, fuck that. Fuck Eminem, fuck culture appropriators. Fuck Macklemore, fuck children of slave traders. Fuck Democrats and fuck Republicans. Fuck America and the Republic for which it stands. Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, Richard Nixon, Lyndon Johnson, Ronald Reagan, Bill Bush, Barack Obama. Fuck niggas who try to blame Mike Brown for his own death. Fuck cops who takes kids in the face for petty theft. Fuck the cop who shot Ayanna Jones as she slept. Fuck cops who murder blacks who were whites, they make arrests. Fuck Reagan and the prison industrial complex. Fuck the war on drugs and fuck being oppressed. Fuck the ICC and the IMF. Fuck your kleptocracy. Fuck your codified debt. Fuck every single one of you haters of black flesh. Fuck Europe, fuck England, fuck the entire West. Fuck devils on the right, fuck devils on the left. Wait for me to give a fuck, don't hold your fucking breath. Fuck fear in the police, fuck changing the way I dress. If Black Lives Matter, fuck a peaceful protest. Fuck nobody can, fuck sensitivity training. Fuck marching and complaining the practice who ain't changing. Viacom, BET, MTV, Universal, Warner Brothers, Interscope, Sony Music. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.